50 years goes by pretty fast. On behalf of the board and staff of DLA, it's with great appreciation to say to you thank you for coming today and joining us to celebrate this significant milestone for us. It's good to be with so many friends and so many friends of downtown. You probably noticed by now that we're going to have a little different format. We're going to depart from our usual award ceremony. And as we mark the 50th anniversary, we're going to just kind of have fun. And we're going to reflect on past, present, and future, and really concentrate on that with some friends of downtown and friends of DLA who've been involved with downtown for a long time. Another difference this year is that we've invited Dave Landis to be our MC. We usually don't have MCs, but once in every 50 years it's a good idea. Dave, we really appreciate this. And not to be cliche, but you need no introduction. Almost everybody in this room knows you well. For the small number of people who don't, we're going to let them be surprised. I want to warm up the crowd a little bit. I've done this with a smaller group, but never at the annual meeting. I want to do, to get the energy level right for Dave, because you've got to kind of pep him up a little bit. We'll do a downtown cheer. Here's the way we're going to do it. I'll say down, you say town. Down, town. Okay, down. 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 Take it away, Dave.
Thank you, Terry. This is the 50th anniversary celebration for DLA, and we're going to look at the past, present, and future. And the occasion calls to mind a story that I like very much, although it's 400 years old and probably apocryphal. The architect for Westminster Abbey in London was Christopher Wren, and he went down to the work site one day to see the progress. And he found a workman sitting, mopping his brow, sweating, and next to him a short masonry wall. And Wren asked him what he was doing, and he said, I'm laying brick. It's hard work. Wren went on to another workman whose wall was about chest high, and he asked what he was doing, and the workman said, well, I'm making a wall. I'm supporting my family. It's important. And Wren went on, and there was a man who was on a ladder overlooking a wall well above his head. And this man was whistling, and this man was smiling, and he was beaming. And Wren said to that man, he said, sir, what are you doing? And the man leaned back from the ladder, and he held out his arms, and he said, me, I'm building a cathedral. And the people in this room have been building not a cathedral, but a city for 50 years. Because at the heart of a good city is a good downtown. And DLA for 50 years has stood for the proposition of building a strong downtown. And we have people to thank and people to acknowledge. Among them our founding fathers. And towards that end, we're going to ask Larry Small to come up and remind us of those founding fathers. Larry Small, a man now retired, although he does sell antique toys on the internet. He is president of the board, or has been, for both the Hardy and Granger buildings in the Haymarket, and has served from the very beginning. And Larry Small, who early in his career was a lineman for a telephone company, with spiky shoes, climbing to the top of telephone poles, changing glass insulators. Larry Small, a lineman for the county, driving the main road, searching in the sun for another overload. Larry Small.
Thank you, David, I think. A while back, you folks got a questionnaire asking you to relate some of your memories of downtown, and you gave the top 10, and in that top 10 memories were King's and the Haymarket. And I thought I'd tell you a couple stories about King's Food Host as it relates to downtown. 50 years ago, there were two Kings in downtown, one at 19th and O, and one on N Street. Between 13th and 14th and N, right across the street, directly north of the present DLA office, it was the buffet. King's Buffet, sometimes called the Gay 90s. That, I think, Metro Gallery is there today. But 19th and O King's, on the northwest corner, in a large two-story brick building, we shared with Duto Chevrolet. We were at the East End. Directly across the street from us was Billy Wolff. He had the bicycle shop, sold Roll Fast. Across the street from Billy was Fenton Drug. Behind Fenton Drug was the Greenwich Cafe. A lot of folks went to the Greenwich. A couple of them right here today, for fish and chips. And directly across the street from us was the Goodyear Tire Store, which happens to be the only business that's still operating on that corner today. Now, when I worked there at King's on Sundays, the University of Nebraska did not serve meals in the evening. So all the kids in the dormitories, as well as those in the Greek houses, sororities, fraternities, came down to 19th to eat. And they filled the entire restaurant. At that time, King's at 19th and O was the largest indoor restaurant that King's had in Lincoln. 48th and O came later and they became bigger. But these kids filled every single booth and all the stools. And then today, if the restaurant's full, you wait outside. You might wait in front of the cash register. They did not. They filled the aisles. And so it was completely packed. So our folks that were trying to deliver food or clean tables had to work through this maze of people. Now, when you sat down in a King's orange vinyl booth, by the way, Larry Price told me that orange was Hungry Orange. If you went to the store to buy that, you'd look up for Hungry Orange. Had the plastic green plants between the... When you figured out what you wanted to eat, you picked up a phone. A telephone, I don't have one here, but before the cell phone, you picked up a phone and the operator answered and you gave them their order. And your order would be like a 35-cent hamburger and some cheese Frenchies, onion rings, malts, all kinds of desserts. The operator would fill it out and send it down the line. Now, while you were doing that, the drive-through was packed. Cars were lined up in a steady stream. Every stall was full. Cars were coming through. We had an off-duty policeman helping direct traffic. It's the only King's I worked at where the drive-in was so congested that we sold tickets for a dime. So you had to pay a dime to bring your car up onto the lot. You may just drive on through. You know, what you did when you were there was the kids were yelling and they were jumping out of cars and getting into somebody else's car. It was just kind of this pandemonium party. King's at 19th and O was also known as Lincoln High King's. Southeast King's was at 40th and South. That was a Jim King operation. So what you did is you drove around Lincoln High King's, and you tore down Capitol Parkway, sometimes, you know, a little speed contest possibly, and you got to 40th and South and you winged around through there several times. A lot of new cars were in that location. And then you went on down to Cotner. You drove north on Cotner because up by Holdridge was Northeast King's. And so you'd circle Northeast King's, see who's all there, same kind of a thing. You're yelling at people and they're jumping in on cars. It's that whole event that happened all the time. Gas is 30 cents a gallon. You could burn through 4 gallons, no big deal. It's $1. Let me just take a minute and run down the street to the Haymarket. In 1985, the Haymarket, a lot of abandoned buildings or boarded up buildings. At least we took the 4x8 sheets of plywood and we painted them. So there would be red and green and yellow and blue plywood covering up the storefronts. But in 1985, the Lincoln Haymarket Development Corp was formed as a nonprofit, and applied for and received a grant from the National Historic Society Preservation and the Main Street program, and that allowed the format, the plan, if you will, as to how to revitalize that warehouse district. And so one of the things you had to do is bring people down there. So we had a lot of Haymarket dances, and this is when the farmer's market. So it was a city market. The farmer's market formed down there. We had maybe 6, 7 vendors. We sold to each other. We were on the dock of what is now the mill. It wasn't the mill back then. It was a restaurant supply house. And we did something that really made a difference. We bought a warehouse and we converted it to housing. How many people in this room either have lived in or have their children living in the Hardy or the Granger building in the Haymarket? Show of hands. Fake news. 25, 30, 50 people. All right, fine. We did 60 units, half of which were not for profit, other half market rate, and several of those units were for people that were in confined to wheelchairs. We did the same thing again at the Granger building on 8th and 8th and N. Same situation, filled it up. Those buildings have been in existence and they're staying full for 25 years. Just a minute. Nikki's hand is on the tube. I'm done. Thank you very much, folks. Yeah.
There's a rolling piece of information that we want you to see, and that is the DLA founding members. They also appear on the back of your program, and the number of people that we have to acknowledge is pretty great, so the print is pretty small. But these are some of the photographs of those founding members. And we have exactly one of them here today. So, rather than applaud the images up there, would you welcome the one founding member of DLA present today, Mr. Don Heyman. Don, stand up. By the way, thank you for Don's sake. Don is the man who sold me my wife's wedding ring 48 years ago. Don, you've been around a long time. Quick reflection on DLA.
Well, it's been wonderful all these years that I grew up in the city, came from Crete, and my grandparents were over at Denton. I used to come to town on Saturday afternoon with a nickel. They'd give me a nickel, and I'd go up and down Poe Street and through all the dinosaurs and find something to take back with me. And there's a lot of good things I could go on, but the one thing I want to mention, though, was the largest bank robbery in the world was at 12th and O. That's our headquarters. And I have pictures of the robbers. They apprehended them. And I have them in my office. Sometimes they go around, come in, and I'll show you all about it. Incidentally, they caught them all. But there was the things that they stole were really not very usable, and so it turned out that it was not so bad as it sounded, but it was really something to see.
Don, thank you very much. Thank you for your contribution. And up next, we want to talk about the private-public initiatives in the city of Lincoln. To do it, Jennifer Brinkman, who is a county commissioner and whose area that she represents includes the downtown. And for those of you who can recall, was in the 90s a radio announcer for both KFRX and KTGL, and her stage or radio name was Kate Stewart. Jennifer Brinkman, Kate Stewart.
Thank you, Dave. When you're alone and life is making you lonely, you can always go downtown. Okay, so as I was thinking about today, I was thinking about when did I really understand what downtown was. You know, when I was a kid, if we needed school clothes, we'd come downtown to JCPenney or Miller and Payne if we had our green stamps to get clothes for school. Or we'd come down to see the movies at the Cinema Twin, the Douglas 3, the Plaza 4, or if it was a big movie, the Stewart Theater. E.T. you saw at the Stewart Theater. But my first sense about what downtown was, I really learned on North 48th Street at the skate zone. Because in the 70s and 80s, when you went to the skate rink and they turned on Petula Clark over the speaker system, everybody knew what to do. You had to grab 2 other friends and you had to skate around the rink. And as that song played, as soon as Petula Clark sang Downtown, you had to bend your knees and you had to scream downtown as loud as you could. So it is that image that kept recurring to me when I was thinking about the partnerships between the public, private, and I also want to mention philanthropic organizations that have contributed to the transformation of Lincoln's downtown. Because just like a trio of scrawny preteens at the roller rink, the most ambitious and impactful developments in our downtown area over the past 50 years demanded collaborations between these sectors to champion these causes and implement grand visions. So for me, there are 10 mentioned in your program today, but for me, 2 stand out. The construction and operation of Haymarket Park is the first one. I really believe it set the stage for all the significant partnership projects we've seen over the last 20 years. 18 years ago, I was a much younger advisor to then Mayor Don Wesley. And Don and I were talking about Haymarket Park last week, and he reminded me that the real feat of putting that project together was the quick timeline for implementation of the project after he was elected. So a few years before that, the city had made some significant investments into the Public Works Nerve Center where they wanted to put the park, and his administration made an about-face to accommodate the establishment of minor league baseball in Lincoln. Nice to see you again, Charlie, too. It also reestablished an important collaboration between the city and the university and our town and gown relationship. And in addition, the project required contributions from the private sector, most notably NEBCO and Union Pacific, and some federal funding to create the B. Ryder pedestrian bridge, which created the link to downtown. Secondly, I have to say that the success of Haymarket Park really laid the foundation for a project that I worked on nearly 10 years ago, which was then called the West Haymarket Arena. The turnaround time on the arena wasn't nearly as quick. If you recall, we talked about how to replace Pershing Center for a decade or more, but the siting exercise that happened during Colleen Tsang's administration, that was led by Dick Campbell, was really the beginning of putting together that final project. And the selection of the West Haymarket and the downtown area was fairly controversial. We had people during that campaign tell us that we needed to put it out by the interstate so that people could get in and get out quickly. But what we know now is that locating an event center near an existing retail, restaurant, and entertainment district is really the key to the economic success of these venues. And the arena story has been recounted, many times over the last couple of years, including by the mayor at a recent speech at Leadership Lincoln during the State of the City. But I really don't think we can take for granted the partnerships that contributed to its creation. Private business leaders took significant financial risk to facilitate the design costs to show the public what the arena would look like and what the vision for that project was. And that was really key to the passage of the bond issue. And at the same time, local political leaders, community boosters, and supporters from across the city championed the project because the question wasn't really, should we replace Pershing Center? It was, what kind of community do we want Lincoln to be? So what these projects and all the others on the list in front of you have demonstrated is what we executed on that roller rink back in the 1980s. We had to lock arms with the right partners. We had to capitalize on each other's strengths, and we had to trust one another, and that is not easy to do. But when we did that, screaming at the top of our lungs without falling over, we won the prize. Back then, it was probably concession stand money for that great birthday cake, the swirl with the ice cream and then the cake on the outside, or probably a ticket to Cool Crest mini golf next door. But in this case, when we partner together, the prize is much greater. The best part is that not only does our partnership flourish, but our whole community is impacted in a positive way. So we want to thank all those visionary partners, elected officials, political appointees, business leaders, and philanthropic donors. who have shepherded all of these projects to completion. We know Lincoln wouldn't be the thriving community it is today without them. So congratulations to DLA on your 50th anniversary. I'm going to do a little bit of what Terry did. Okay, all together now. 1, 2, 3. Downtown. Thank you.
And let's see the names of the mayors and city councilmen that we've had during those 50 years. If you would put up on the screen the mayors in those 50 years, 3 of whom are here, and I'll announce them in a moment, and a number of city council folks. So, that's right, there's a lot of them. However, a number of them are here, and let me read all of their names. If they want to stand or wave, they're welcome to do so. Among the mayors, Don Wesley, Colleen Singh, and Chris Beitler. Among the city council members, if you want to stand, because we're going to applaud for everyone we're done, Lloyd Hinckley, Margareta Alschwede, Eric Youngberg, Colleen Singh, Ken Haar, Kurt Donaldson, John Camp, Robin Eschliman, Dan Marvin, Doug Emery, Carl Estrich, Larry Gaylor Baird, Jane Raybold, Benny Shobe, and Roy Christensen. These are part of that public-private partnership, and thank them if you would. Up next is Ann Ringline. Oh, wait a second. Let's just turn to the person who's come the farthest for this celebration for a reflection. A wonderful handlebar mustache these days. Eric Youngberg, stand up and just give us a, oh, there we are, quick reflection of what's happened in the last 20 minutes.
Dave, this is my husband, Gary. Here.
Thank you, Gary, I do know that.
I came to Lincoln in 1974 as the first planner working for Mayor Schwarzkopf and Leo Scheer, who was the head of the Community Development Department, to organize neighborhoods to set up the first community development block grant program in the city. And the thing that I learned from this community is the astounding leadership by women in Lincoln. And I thought it was normal. You know, I walked the nation, and in my work later with the National Trust and with NeighborWorks and everything else, I thought it was normal to have women so involved, and people like Jan Gallagher and Mayor Vasalis, and if you remember Claire Simpson and other people, activists in the early days, Sue Bailey, and it's incredible what I learned from them. So we need to listen to women more, first of all. Second of all, second of all is diversity doesn't happen without paying attention. And we need to pay attention every single day to make sure that the decisions that we make reflect the diversity of our communities, or the diversity that we wish for our communities. Second of all, and thirdly, and everyone, I keep coming back to Lincoln. My mother-in-law lives in Bethany School, and I work with NeighborWorks Lincoln and other groups, and I truly believe that Lincoln is even cooler than you let yourself be. Now listen to that. You are better than you let yourselves be as a community. This is an amazing place. So I just encourage you to let yourself go, do big things, and strive to make everything better. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric. Up next, Ann Ringline. Ann is the manager of the Lincoln Running Company and a very big supporter of DLA and a hard worker in the downtown area. She is also probably the only one here who was featured in a story on Paul Harvey's midday radio broadcast. Paul picked up the story of Ann, who interrupted a shoplifter, and the shoplifter, being relatively young, was sure they'd be able to outrun her if they hit the door, and they were heartily surprised when Ann ran them down, and the arrest was ultimately made, and that's the rest of the story.
The sad thing is, I would probably still try to do that. I just would not catch them. Anyway, there is no time like the present, and there is nowhere that this is more obvious than in downtown Lincoln right now. If you work, live, or play, or all three down here, you no doubt have felt the energy that is going on downtown. The Lincoln Running Company, our store, has been in business, has been here in the same spot, the same place for 42 years, and we've seen a lot of great things happen downtown, but right now, it is the best that it's ever been. And we thank DLA for a huge part of this, as bringing us all together, especially in the last 10 years, bringing all of downtown together. We also thank all of you that live, work, play, sustain your business here, start new businesses here, and support the businesses here as part of that success also. If you need proof of the energy in this space that we call downtown, from 5 a.m. to 12 a.m., there is energy going all the time. 5 a.m. in and out of the downtown YMCA, in and out of Fly Fitness, in and out of Lotus House of Yoga. And that's how they get their energy. If they aren't doing that, then they need to go to the mill or the coffee house to get their energy. At noontime, the sidewalks are full of people walking for their health, walking for food. In the evening, it's a whole new level of energy. Restaurants, bars, shows, movies, group runs. There's all kinds of things going on down here. It is a buzz all the time. Events that I've also found that downtown has exactly what they need. And one of the largest ones that has a ton of energy is the first weekend in May, the first Sunday in May, with 14,000 people beginning and ending their marathon journey in downtown Lincoln. It's a sight to behold. The other one, another one, is on the Visit 14th Street on the hottest weekend in July. And you will see thousands of people dancing, singing, enjoying the blues that the Zoo Fest provides and that the Zoo Bar has provided to us for 44 years. Lincoln Calling is another musical event that takes place, it's younger, not 44 years old, but it takes place in several venues all over the city. All of this brings a huge, huge amount of energy to the city. Head west, and you will just to the west edge of downtown, and you'll be hard-pressed to find a weekend that there isn't something happening, or a day that there isn't something happening. People pole vaulting in the middle of the street, wrestlers, basketball games, movies. It is happening down there, and it is so fun. It's just interesting to go down there and see what is happening. This Sunday, if you're needing a little energy, the epic finish of the Havesy will finish. The Good Life Havesy is finishing it over the Arena Bridge and into the Cube. And if you know anybody that's running, which you probably do because there's 7,000 of them, you need to go down there and feel that energy and get your week set. Now, if all this talk about energy is making you a little bit tired, you don't have to worry. There's tons of things that are soothing too, but can bring about a different type of energy. All the art studios that are around. Hit those up. The first Friday is a wonderful thing to hit up. End up at the Burkholder Art Project and walk down the alley that's lit up. It will make you feel like you're not in Lincoln, although we all want to be in Lincoln. Also, I suggest you head to what I have named the If You Build It, They Will Come Square, which you all know as Tower Square. That place is wonderful. It's like when you put a box out, a cat gets into it. If you build Tower Square, everybody comes to it. It is absolutely wonderful. I just get a big smile on my face every single time I turn the corner from my store to head out, and there it is, and it just makes me feel so good. It's the most wonderful place. You can sit there, grab a tea, grab a coffee. You can see a outdoor spin class with a DJ leading it. You can see yoga, free yoga classes on Saturday and Sundays there. You can see on the first Thursday, we have runs go from there all the time. You can see a gathering of very passionate people having, really supporting what their cause is. You can see a class. There's classes go on down there. The university bring people down there. It's just amazing what happens down there. Downtown Lincoln, it's here, and it's very energized, and it is the best it's ever been. And if you don't live or work here, you need to come and play here and add to the energy. Downtown, there is no time like the present. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. One of those 7,000 people running in the Havesy is my daughter, Melissa. And I know what energy you're talking about. We have some people who've been masterful in assisting DLA in their objectives. They are annually recognized as DLA Impact Award winners. They're downtown champions, and they're young entrepreneurs. Their name appears in the back of the program if you want to take a look at it. And we have a number of them here. I'd like to read their names, have them stand, and when we're all done with the list, give them a rousing round of applause. Among the downtown champions, Brad Carell, Dallas McGee, Tad Fraser, Larry Small, Dick Campbell, Mayor Chris Beitler, Kent Seacrest, Ann Ringline, Tom Lorenz, Clay Smith, Randy Hawthorne, Nader Sepapur. And then from among the young entrepreneurs, Can you join these folks standing? Robert Scott, Jacqueline Tejada, Taffy Sabbergo, and Jason Davis. These are your young entrepreneurs and downtown champions. Recognize them, please. Tom, stand up. This is the guy who brought Lincoln to a standstill for 5 performances of Garth Brooks, a fabulous phenomenon in this town. Tom, you are a downtown DLA champion. You've watched this. You've been part of that change. Any reflection you want to share?
Downtown's always been great with first Pershing Center and everyone who supported that so strongly, to have all of the different activities going on, and then to see it culminate in something like this last weekend when just up near 68,000 people decided to come down to Pinnacle Bank Arena. What a great town, what a great place, and thank you for embracing us and our family.
Thank you, Tom. DLA has been an active part of making the downtown better. They have a number of initiatives. And the current head of the board, John Kane, is the most recent voice to be able to speak for that DLA presence in making downtown better. I'm going to call on John in a moment. John is a principal and partner at Sinclair Haley Architecture Firm. And he told me that I could summarize his entire competitive sports career by saying that he once shook the hand of Ted Williams. That was it. John, DLA initiative.
All right. Thank you, David. Actually, it was a private breakfast with Ted Williams. Even better, right? It was the manager of the Washington Senators at the time, and what happened to the Washington Senators, Charlie? Do we know? Texas Rangers, anyway. It's World Series time, but thank you. Today is about celebrating, obviously, 50 years of moments and memories in downtown Lincoln, and whenever we hit these milestones, they always evoke these memories, many of which you've heard today, of course, and we tend to reminisce about a lot of things. I've had many conversations with people in the days leading up to this event that have involved exactly that, downtown events or businesses. But you'll find that many of the great memories in downtown actually have some connection with DLA initiatives. The Downtown Lincoln Association has often been that engine under the hood for successful events in downtown, the foundational building blocks of the things that make us really enjoy downtown. So you've already heard about partnerships. Jennifer mentioned that. And when you dig a little deeper into the topic of DLA initiatives, you will find partnerships have been essential. We know this. We always tend to be more successful when we work together rather than alone. So in fact, DLA grew out of a partnership. In 1960, a group of retailers in downtown, many on O Street, went to the Chamber of Commerce and formed a committee within the Chamber that focused exclusively on downtown. 7 years later, 1967, our 50th anniversary, that committee was formed as the Independent Lincoln Center Association. And that eventually evolved into what today is DLA. So the legacy of partnerships has existed throughout the history of DLA and continues today, which is pretty cool. We're working in partnership right now, for example, with Centerpoint on an initiative to put staff on the streets in downtown to build trust and relationships with the homeless, with the goal of providing resources and assistance. The beautiful landscape in our landscape beds in downtown are maintained by a partnership through an initiative with Community Alternatives of Nebraska. So if you see groups of people walking around in their green safety vests with DLA, it takes a significant amount of work to keep the landscaping beautiful, and so we have them to thank. Successful initiatives by working in partnerships is one technique, and there are others in your program as well, but the second initiative I just wanted to mention is that DLA is doing an outstanding job with branding and event marketing. I really feel strongly about that. We have adapted to new techniques, new technologies, new interests, and it's bringing new generations to downtown Lincoln. Examples: Downtown Civic Venture supports a retail retention and recruitment program. Shop the Blocks, coming again in November for the 11th year, combines shopping and food and has added over $500,000 in additional revenue retail spending. Downtown 101, which involves the University of Nebraska. It's the end of August. It's aimed at incoming new students, involves music and vendors. The Downtown Gift Card Program to support retailers. Yoga in Tower Square, as Ann mentioned. So downtown is a really cool place. So these are just a couple of examples of DLA initiatives that have helped support our downtown community. And as the common voice for nearly 1,000 businesses and 500 property owners, DLA has one purpose, one objective: making downtown a welcoming, vibrant, and prosperous place. So look for more great initiatives as we move into the future, which will be our next topic of discussion. But Dave, I think that wraps it up. So thank you. Thank you, everyone.
And we're going to roll on the screen the names of past chairs of DLA, and we also have 3 of the CEOs. These are our board chairs and CEOs, and of them, the ones that are here today, and we'd love to have them stand: Jim Stang, Bob Campbell, Ken Hakey, Brad Carell, Charlie Mayer, Michelle Waite, Drew Stang, John Weinberg, Ed Zwotek, C.J. Thoma, Brian Sullivan, and John Kay. And then the 3 CEOs that are in the room: Carol Jess, Larry Small, and Terry Euland. Thank our past chairs and CEOs. And we do have a former CEO, Carol Jess, who's watched this process. Carol, stand up and give us a reflection as a former DLA CEO.
Thanks. I was hired by Don Heyman, who was on the board when I came on as for DLA. I was hired to promote downtown. Downtown had just undergone this huge renovation. O Street was torn up for a couple of years, if not more. And so my tenure was to make downtown a fun place. That's when the Star City Holiday Parade got started, and up downtowners to film July Jam and some other fun things that we did. So it was my privilege to be part of it, made some great friendships, and it's wonderful to see that downtown has maintained that vibrancy.
Thank you, Carol Jess. Come on up. This is Stephanie and Paul Jarrett. They are the founders and leading lights of Boo Box, one of the cutting-edge new businesses in Lincoln, a big success. And what you don't know is that their board of directors meeting is going on in the next room over that hall, that they had somebody guarding the door, and when John Kay was in the middle of his talk, they went over, snuck them out of the board of directors meeting, put that on pause so they could come over here and tell you about the future of the downtown and the future for DLA. Please, would you welcome Stephanie and Paul Jarrett.
That's quite the intro. Is this good for you? Does that work? Sure. We're just going to go back. I don't think the board of directors are going to notice that I'm gone, so we're good. They'll notice that Stephanie's gone, but not me. So we got a little something for you that we created. Let's get into it. So I was just thinking on the wait, time out. Carol Jess, I love you. You're the best. It's great to see you. Carol was more of a mentor than anything for me when we started, so good to see you. And damn, I cursed. Started off with the cursing. Downtown Lincoln has come such a long way. Stephanie and I are so proud to call downtown home to both our family, that includes our son Hilo, our home, and our business Bulu Box as well.
So, nope, that's too tall. You're gonna have to squat. Terry and Todd asked us to wrap things up by focusing on the future of downtown Lincoln, and that future looks really bright.
Yes, and I am super excited about the jetpack sharing program that we have. So I'm hoping that we get a sharing station set up right in front of Bulu Box so I can jetpack over 2 blocks from where I live right to Bulu Box.
And teleporting between the Children's Museum and Indigo Bridge Books, that's going to be way easier than carrying Hilo all across town.
Yep. And I'm going to be the first one that signs up for the Brain Upload program at the Downtown Lincoln Memory Library. That way the future generations can access all of the knowledge that I have up here, wink, wink, and just make sense of what we're doing and kind of make sense of what I'm doing.
Of the way you think.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll cut the comedy. Jetpack sharing might not be in our immediate future, but downtown Lincoln will be launching a bike share system this year. And while we might not be teleporting between downtown Lincoln destinations, I have a feeling driverless cars will likely be a transportation option in our not so distant future.
That's so cool. I also, a little bird has told me that a downtown shuttle program is in the works. Hopefully I can say that. That is definitely on my wish list for our neighborhood. That is the sort of type of transportation and innovation, and it's just one reason that Stephanie and I spent so much time in our 20s living outside of Lincoln and in Nebraska, and we were working in New York City and in San Francisco, and it was only when we started our own company, Bulu Box, that we were really enlightened to how much that things had changed back here in Lincoln. So we relocated our business Bulu Box from San Francisco to an office that's actually just a couple of blocks up that way.
There was a brief interlude where we packed boxes in Paul's parents' basement, though. So
30-year-old living and working in his
Thanks,
parents'
Bill and
basement.
Corrine.
Yeah, nailed it. Thanks, Mom and Dad, again. Our company, as we continue to grow, we're committed to keeping Bulu Box in downtown Lincoln, our headquarters in downtown Lincoln. Thanks to all the hard work of our community and city leaders, all those people that have texted, called, or emailed late night asking for favors especially. There's so many exciting developments that we look forward to experiencing. There's the South Haymarket, there's south of downtown, the Telegraph District neighborhoods, and those are just a few things to start things off.
And get this, in the last decade, $1 billion have been invested in developing downtown Lincoln. And I'm telling you, it's putting Lincoln on the map.
With a B.
With a B.
That's what we say, right? So we can literally, we start to feel the success of our downtown in our business. Downtown is just part of the Bulu Box DNA. And that's when we're recruiting people from outside of Lincoln or outside of Nebraska. That's when we're working with CBS and NPR to report what's happening here in Lincoln. And it's just evident to me that everybody in Lincoln, Nebraska, we're all on the rise. And this vibrant downtown scene is a direct reason why. From Huddle HQ to Nebraska Global in the Haymarket, all the way to Nelnet and Allo in the Telegraph District, these startups are kind of an integral part to the growth and improvement we'll see in the next 50 years.
So our family chooses to live downtown, and so do many others. About a third of our downtown office employees at Bulu Box live fewer than just 5 blocks from our office. So with that combo of both work and play, we're particularly excited for the planned trails, the parks, the community spaces, amid the necessary housing, parking, and business developments.
Stephanie and I hope that these budding communities give rise to the same diversity of peoples, cultures, and events that we love to experience living and working downtown. We know that together we can continue to build a downtown Lincoln that's so spectacular that people aren't going to want to leave in Boomerang.
Although we are proud to be Boomerangs, and we've got to say a quick and sincere thank you to those of you in the room who were part of the plot to move us back home. We look forward to being in your seats and convincing others to come back, and to celebrating the 100-year celebration of the Downtown Lincoln Association.
Wait. But for the 75th, I better be flying in on my damn jetpack. Thank you, guys.
Congrats on 50 years, DLA.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Stephanie. Hello, everybody. My name is Todd Ogden. I am the Deputy Director at the Downtown Lincoln Association. I've been here for 11 years now. And in those 11 years, I've only learned one thing, that everybody downtown and the people are really weird. And speaking of weird, I'm definitely here to thank everybody who's speaking today, starting with Dave Landis. Let's give him a round of applause. A wonderful MC today. Like Austin said, weird is good and Dave is good, and all of our speakers were selected for a reason. There are a lot of people who they represent, and each of them represents something different about downtown. Dave, of course, is entertaining and smart and can dance. He's a five-tool player, so we had to get Dave involved and run the show. It was a little risky to kind of throw the reins to him, but we're on time, so he followed orders and did wonderfully, so thank you. Next up, Larry Small. We had Larry Small come in to talk about these memories that we had. Larry's not old, he's experienced. He's been around for a long time, but he has a youthful exuberance about him and something that everybody wants to go to and complain about at the mill. You go talk to Larry. If you have any issues, he'll tell you. Next up was Jennifer Brinkman. We needed somebody to talk about the public-private initiatives, and Jennifer certainly helps bridge gaps between a lot of those different people and knows how to communicate between the nonprofit, private, and public sector. And Ann Ringline, to talk about the present, there's no better person than to bring the amount of energy that you need to be excited about where we are in the present of downtown Lincoln. And definitely, and this is on behalf of all of our staff, makes all of us want to work and do more downtown. And people like Ann make our job so much better. And there's so many people like Ann as well around here in downtown. The person who is our DLA initiative speaker was John Kane. John Kane had to speak because he was our DLA chair. John is also very bright and intelligent and excellent to work with and work for, so we're very happy to have John here and all of our past chairs during our tenure. And finally, we had Paul and Stephanie Jarrett. That was an obvious choice for us because looking into the future, they do bring a couple things. They bring hope for a brighter future, and they bring belief that we know downtown's going to be a better place. So please give a round of applause not only for all the speakers, but everybody that stood up today. And as you give the round of applause, I do, right before this, I want to make an announcement that everybody announced is officially part of our 50th anniversary Hall of Fame. So we have awards up there. So please give them one last round of applause, our inductees in the 50th Hall of Fame members. We wanted to make sure to get done early. I just looked without a watch, so we're on time. We wanted to get done early, so we have the Hall of Fame awards for everybody that stood up with the downtown champions, past DLA chairs, past CEOs, city council, mayor. Get your awards, and we're going to take some pictures of the backdrop. Keep on eating, keep on talking. We want to have leftover time to do that, so enjoy that. And then we also have one more surprise. And while we were talking during this presentation, Bob Campbell, Bob, can you stand? Where are you? Right there. Bob Campbell of Miller and Payne fame was out in the back cooking cinnamon rolls. That was one of people's top memories. And so we had to make sure it happened. And so Bob cooked 2 cinnamon rolls for everybody as they exit. So grab your Miller and Payne cinnamon rolls, take them home and enjoy them. And remember what's good about downtown and what's going to be good in the future. Because Miller and Payne cinnamon rolls are still around and they will be 50 years from now. So I appreciate everybody. Everybody talk amongst themselves. Get your awards, take pictures, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.